Okay, so we're back with our second week of breaking down the assessment. So hopefully you've done the assessment at home. This is the second week. Last week we covered the torso turn and shoulder turn, and we gave you 8 exercises that are going to help you with that. So this week we're going to break down the pelvic tilt. And I would say the percentage is very high of the people that cannot do a pelvic tilt, but it's really important for your golf swing for many reasons, and the main one is to maintain your posture. So if you're someone that sets up with a club and your butt sticks way out like this, or you think, like I did when I first started doing this training, that this is the athletic posture, and it is. It is if you're playing baseball. If you've got to get down and you got to field a ground ball, you want your back because you're going to go laterally. If you're playing basketball and you want to play defense and you need to move laterally, that's great. And in football, if you're taking on a hit, you want your butt back because it's going to give you more stability. But in golf, you have to rotate. So you want this lumbar spine that's normally has a little bit of a curvature in it, but not too much. Because if you have too much curvature in your lumbar spine, it's going to really tighten up your lower body and not allow your hips to move. So that's why the pelvic tilt is so important. So I'm going to give you 3 exercises for each, the anterior tilt and the posterior tilt, that's going to help you have better posture in your setup and help you move better in your swing. Okay, so just for a recap of what the assessment was, I had you get in a 5-iron posture with your arms across your chest. I didn't want your knees to move, and I didn't want your upper back to move. And all I said was, you're going to arch your back like this, and then tuck under this way. What we see a lot in our students, there's 3 things that we see. Number 1, we'll see this, where the lower body moves, where they go like this, or the upper body stays still, and the lower body stays still and the upper body moves back and forth this way. Or the other one, my favorite, is this one. And they say, am I doing it? And nothing's moving. So if you have one of those 3 issues when you try that assessment, we want to make sure that, number 1, we figure out why. So you could have some tightness in the lumbar spine, or it could be that you already set up with an arched back, so it makes it harder to arch. Or if you're one of those that we call C posture, you're humped over the shaft this way, it could be that this is so flat already, you can't make it any flatter. So the reason this is important is in your swing, when you take a backswing, they put the sensors on the best players in the world and they see how their pelvis moves, and at the top of the backswing, they actually create an arch to maintain their posture, and on the downswing, their butt tucks under and then they push their glutes towards the target. So that's why we want to make sure that that is good movement and good stability in that area. All right, so if you've been watching these last videos, you heard me talk a lot about mobility and stability. So they're really important in the golf swing and they're really important in this pelvic tilt. So the majority of the people that can't do it have a stability and a mobility problem. So we're gonna start with the number 1 exercise, and then we're gonna work our way up to the last one where you have the most stability, mobility. So the first one is, if you wanna see if you can do it at all, what you're gonna do is lay down on your back, and this is gonna provide the stability, and we just have to provide the mobility. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cross your arms over your chest, and you're gonna make that same move. So from here, you're gonna arch your back like this. So I always put my hand under my client's back and say, okay, now make room for my hand. And then I say, okay, now push down on my hand. So what you want to do is be able to move. You can put your arms up like this, and they shouldn't move. So if you're one that's still going this way, and your arms are moving, then you want to make sure you want to try and keep that upper body stable. So you're going to arch your back, so create room, and then push down. So your pelvis is doing exactly what it was when you're standing. So you're creating that anterior tilt, and then you're creating that posterior tilt. So that's level number 1. So try that. If you can do that, you're ready for level number 2. If you can't, keep working at it and try to get that mobility in that area. Okay, so if on your back was pretty easy for you, you're able to create the room for the hand and then push down on the hand. Now we want to go to your hands and knees. And so the ground is now going to give you that stability. So your hands are going to be on the ground for the stability in the upper body and your knees for the lower body. So what we're going to do is we're going to create, some people call them cats and cows. I like to call them cats and dogs. So we're going to create the anterior tilt. So head goes up, butt goes out, and you're going to create that arch in your back. And then we're going to go opposite. So we're going to go butt under, head down, back up, and your lower back's going to get flat. So that's the posterior tilt. Now, one thing you want to avoid is going forward or backwards when you're doing this. You want to be able to stay still and then go with the dog or the cow, where your butt goes up and your head goes up, and then butt under, head under. So if you can do this back and forth, that's going to give you a lot of good mobility, and then you want to continue to do that, and then we'll go on to the next one if you can do that. Okay, so now if you can do those two, now you're ready to stand up. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a semi-fixed object. So you're going to hold on to your golf club. I always recommend putting the grip end down just so it doesn't slip, and holding on to the club head. So we're going to get in that same posture, 5-iron posture. So from here you're going to hold on to this, and you're going to create that arch. You always want to create the arch first, and then tuck under this way. So you're going to create the arch. Again, tuck under. So now what's happening is the club is adding stability for your upper body. So now you don't have to worry about that. All you got to do is worry about keeping your knees stable. So if your knees are still tucking under, you probably want to go back down to your hands and knees and practice that a little bit more. But if you're good here, if you can arch and tuck under without your knees moving or your shoulders moving, then the next thing you want to do is just let go of the club. You can hold it across your chest, you can throw it down, you can do whatever with it, and then you're going to do that same thing. So you're going to arch, and then you're going to tuck under this way. So if you have a trouble, if you find yourself, like your golf instructor says you have too much arch in your lower back, or you're too hunched over, this is a great drill or exercise to find out what neutral is for you. So what you want to do is hold on to the club, push your butt all the way back as far as you can go, tuck under as far as you can, push back again as far as you can, and then go right to the middle of those. Usually it's just a little bit of a tuck under. So when you arch your back and you say, man, it hurts right here, that's probably because you have some tightness, and what's happening is those muscles are contracting because they're used to being contracted, and then you just contract them more. So tucking under may give you a relief. So if you have some lower back pain, try that, just tucking under, and that'll give you a little bit of a stretch sensation. But this is a great exercise to find a good neutral posture, and also give you more stability and help you to hold your posture throughout your golf swing. Okay, so if you remember in the assessment part, I said there's different reasons why you do what you do physically in your body. Number one could be that you're just too tight. Number two could be that you just don't have the strength to do it. Or number three could be that you just don't understand. This is one of those that maybe you just don't have the understanding of how to move the pelvis that way, or it could be that you're too tight or you're too flexible. So this is one that we use the assessment as the exercise protocol with different levels. So again, if you can't arch or flatten your back without the rest of your body moving, and I really suggest using a mirror, because you'd be surprised at how many people think they can that are not even close to doing it at all. So that's going to help you with so many different things. Set up posture. I always say we can probably fix a lot of faults physically with just getting in a better posture and getting your body aligned right. So go back, check out the assessment if you haven't done so. Check out last week's, because it's really important on the movements of the pelvis and the shoulders. And then next week we're going to break down the deep squat, which is a very comprehensive assessment, and it's one of the best assessments that we can do for you physically for your golf game.